Hello and welcome back to Dot Basement. That is Alan Trammell and I am Lou Whitaker, the
Yeah, you are.
famous double play combo for the Detroit Tigers. And this week we are recording from the Congressional Select Committee on Boisterous Aeronautical Displays. Andy, go
That's
ahead.
that's right. Just had the 4th of July, celebrated the 4th of July. There was a there were 9 hours of flyovers at the National Mall. You add that to the many flyovers at different sporting events across the country. You had one at the World Cup game. You had one at Truist Park down in Atlanta, Kauffman Stadium over in Kansas City, and then the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. You had many flyovers. Uh, for a standard sporting event, not counting the 9 hours of flyovers that you had at the National Mall to celebrate America's 250th, but for a standard sporting event, a routine four-jet fighter flyover, which is a little bit of a tongue twister there, generally tallies an operational cost of about $80,000 to $100,000 for the duration of the flight, which is not very long. So it's
What?
about 20. What?
Yeah, that's my question. What?
Yeah,
Can
it's
you read that number
about a
again?
$100,000. Yeah, we got a total operating cost of $80,000 to $100,000 because it's about $20,000 a plane to get that thing going for a few-minute flight.
I didn't know this.
Uh,
I
they,
didn't
they,
know.
no, the cost. No, look, the cost is dependent upon what type of aircraft that you are piloting, and also how many are buzzing by. But typically, you're going to get about four that are buzzing in the stadium. So it's about 20,000 per. It's a general ballpark right
Who's
there. No
paying
pun
for
intended.
this?
Ballpark.
Who's paying for this?
Well, you and I are in a way, but not in the way that you think that we are. It is just built into the Department of Defense budget. So let me ask my questions and then I'll start explaining what's really going on here with flyovers because it's quite interesting.
You have
Uh
questions? I have
I
questions.
have I know you have a lot of questions, but I want to can we start with at least have you ever been to a game with a flyover?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we have. Uh we were talking like a couple days ago, and I think we were trying to
Yeah.
recollect which game we actually did go to that there was a flyover. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
As,
there was a Bears game that we went to. We sat in the end zone and there was a
yes.
flyover. Is was my recollection.
We did a little bit of prep ahead of time. I mean, most of the time we're
Shocker.
walking in blind. I know this is just we're trying this out, people. We don't know if it's going to work. Doing a
To
little bit
be
of prep work ahead of time.
To be fair, we didn't prepare for this podcast on purpose. Andy called me a couple days ago,
No,
yeah,
no.
as like a wellness check.
Yeah, it
And
was a proof of life check. I
yeah,
hadn't heard from you in a couple days, and I was like, "Hey, man, are you good?" You were still in bed at 11 a.m. your time, which was slightly concerning. Is like,
that's not
everything
true.
good,
That's not
everything
true.
good.
I understand the idea, but that's not true. And I just been a little busy.
Yeah,
So, we were talking about it, and we had seemed to have a collective memory that like we both remember going to a Chicago Bears game in Soldier Field and there
yeah.
being a giant plane that flew over and it shook the entirety of Soldier Field.
Yeah, so I was a little scared actually. I was the one who brought it. I was like, man, I remember a Bears game, but I was like, did I like make this up? Did I dream this? And so it was more of a confirmation of like, hey, we were at a Bears game where there was a massive plane that came overhead. You confirm that. Either we had a shared dream or revelation or something, or this actually did happen. I did try digging around on the interwebs, which can be a little terrifying at times. There was a massive C-17 that flew over Soldier Field back in like 2011, and they were playing the Lions. All of that seems to track. I'm pretty sure we were at that game. But yes, I remember, as you just said, sitting in the end zone and this thing coming from, I think, behind us, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's just there, and it is just loud and massive. And I thought it was the end of the world. It more than anything, it was just terrifying. It was in no way did I feel patriotic. In no way did I feel like, hey, I want to now join the Air Force or the Navy. There was none of that. it was more of a, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. And I pooped my pants a little bit.
I remember thinking, now that when we thought about it, I remember thinking, this is totally worth $60,000. If they spent $65,000, though, I would not be into it. But if they
A
spent sixty
dime
thousand
over it.
dollars,
No,
I
absolutely.
think it's totally
A
worth it.
man has its limits. Yeah.
Uh, I
But all right, other than that,
besides
so
that
we have the
one,
collective memory of the C-17, like almost, taking out the entire stadium
I
with
see.
fear and trembling, Kierkegaard style. All right.
Well, I seem to
Any other
like.
sporting events that you've been to that have had a flyover?
I'm trying to think of like the sporting events that we've been to. It wouldn't have shocked me, but I don't remember it. We went to the Red Wings Maple Leafs game in Ann
Yeah.
Arbor, the Winter Classic. I don't think there was a flyover. Now, I don't even
Well,
know if they do
no,
flyovers in the winter.
I was gonna say they couldn't. It was a blizzard. Nobody would have seen the planes.
Well, we
They
barely
would
saw
have
the
had to
ice. That's
land
true.
on the field for us to see on the ice for us to see it. It was a blizzard. We could barely see the game.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the only other thing that I seem to remember is us going to a Cubs game on the weekend of a Blue Angels show.
So I thought about that as well, is when they have the Air and Water show in Chicago. And I mean, I've been to hundreds of Cubs games. I would have had to have gone one during that weekend and just being bombarded with, like, and you see that, like, when you watch the players in the dugouts during those weekends, they're always just shocked by it and they're always terrified. They're always crapping their pants as well. But yeah, I don't remember specifically a game that they had the Air and Water show while we were there.
Those games are always fun to watch on TV though too.
Yes,
When
they are.
they're
Yeah,
interesting. You'll just hear the planes kind of come and go, and it's and the
yeah,
marquee does a good job of like panning to the planes as they pass for the most part. I can't
yeah.
wait for this year's when they run a
Really?
drone into one of the Blue Angels and it ruins the whole air and water show.
Yes,
But that's
yes. Yeah.
spelling doom. I don't know if I want
Yeah.
to
They
speak
do
that
great. They
evil
do
over
great
them.
with the audio pickup as well on those things, because during the broadcast, those things are blasting
Yeah,
and they are definitely drowning out Boog and JD
yeah.
and Magoo McGregor. Yeah.
All right. What other questions do you have now that we've
Okay, so we've both been to a flyover, or a game with a flyover in it. I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head other than that Bears game. We've already kind of talked about the feeling you got for we almost died. I mean, it was terrified. Um, all of this leads to, are flyovers necessary?
totally. I don't even, is that even a question? Come on. Are you serious with that?
Really? Yeah, I mean a little bit. What is the purpose of a flyover?
Patriotism. What are you talking about? Have you
Are we not oozing enough with that stuff?
I cannot believe you're saying this right after we celebrated 250
Two
years
out of-
of the
yeah,
greatest country in the world.
okay.
And
Timing
you're
timing
anti
is an
flyover?
abs. I am
We
suspicious
are
of the practice. Although
the
when I
reason,
when I did
it's not a shocker. You did it again. I'm going to take this opportunity. It's not a shocker that nobody listens to this podcast because we come down on the unpopular side of everything. We don't like drones. We don't like the
no,
megalodon
I
camera.
don't no
We don't
no
like flyovers.
yeah.
Everybody's just like we are party
These guys, like
poopers.
anything, all we do is criticize absolutely everything. We poo poo everything.
We're talking
We
about
are
poo a
get
lot
off
in
your
this.
lawn, guys. Yeah, to the nth degree. Okay, when I did a little bit of digging, I realized there is a purpose to them more than eliciting a certain response in both the fans and the players. Actually, I watched a little NFL documentary thing, and they're talking to the players and coaches about it. The players and the coaches love them, or at least the ones they interviewed love them, saying how excited they get when the flyover comes by, how they get a little scared as well. Um, the purpose of these things is actually tactical training. They prep for these things as if it were a training, as if it were a drill. They call it time on target. So
Huh.
they have to be flying over the stadium, and some of them are as precise. I think for the Super Bowl, they have to be precise as like over the 50-yard line by the last note. And so they have to hit a window. They have to be in a certain spot at a certain time, and it has to be coordinated perfectly to the very last note of the national anthem. So they'll have a guy with a radio down on the field being like, hey, here's the pacing of that thing. Obviously, you have a window for generally the national anthem lasts X amount of seconds. Guy on the radio will be like, hey, they're really hamming it up. Here's the pacing. Be ready to be here in X amount of seconds, whatever. And so they make that coordination. The pilots kind of do a little circle. They know where to be if, she's putting trills on every single note and just going for it. And so they coordinate it where it's nope, last notes hit, and then they have, because this is the same in the field in combat, if you have a time on target procedure, whatever you would call this, you have a 5-second window to get there. And so once that last note hits, they have a 5-second window to be flying over the stadium. But all the ones that I've seen they do a pretty good job of last note hits, and they're pretty much there.
Okay. First of all, now I'm saying
Yeah.
$60,000 isn't enough. We need to be spending more on this because this is national defense, and we need to be we need to be
It is.
prepared. We need to be prepared.
When you kind of learn about this, you go, "Oh, this
I didn't
isn't
know
for
any of this.
patriotism. This isn't like PR for the Air Force or Navy or anything, or the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard does them as well. This is national defense. This is training for our military."
The coaches and players that got interviewed, that was PR because they know, not like us, not to poo-poo patriotism. So
Yeah.
that's the PR people are being like, hey, you're going to get this question and you better say you like it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now that teaching moment here from Andy, which is very helpful because I didn't know any of this, but now it has in my mind of like, I want to know, has anybody failed in their flyover test before?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I want to know.
Oh yeah. Well, so okay.
Did they miss their mark, and what does that look like?
First of all, you gotta like hope that, like I said, whoever's singing the national anthem is not just
Rubbing
hamming
on
it
the
up.
funk.
It's not
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's just we are going to make this a 7-minute long national anthem. Because otherwise, I mean, you're stuck up there and you're like, what do we do? Like, I gotta refuel. Like, we gotta go back, get up here again, and hope to make this window. So you're really reliant on whoever's singing the national anthem to kind of be in, let's say, the Overton window. There's an acceptable range for how long the national anthem is supposed to go. And you're really hoping that person is respecting those boundaries so that you kind of know it's around here. But yeah, I do wonder, there's a couple things. One, who missed it by a wide margin?
Right.
Like last note hits, and then okay, like now it's time for an NFL game. Now it's time to kick off. Kicker's getting ready, puts a foot into it, and all of a sudden, like you miss it by a couple minutes.
Well, no, I mean they call it off at that point, right? Or does the guy in the field with the radio,
so.
or does the guy in the radio just go like,
yeah, we're still a go. Green light. Let's make this interesting. Yeah. Let's make this interesting. We're going to be part of the game. This is a tactical mission. We're still a go.
Don't worry, guys. You missed this window, but there's another window coming right around in just a second.
We got 3 minutes. We're good.
The other go ahead.
There are some parameters. So here's a kind of a funny story. There are some parameters for how high you have to be, what your speed is as well. You cannot deviate from a straight line. You can't, there's some like angles involved here. It's like you can't go above a certain amount of angle. You can't veer either right or left to a certain amount of, to a certain degree as well. It's got to be a straight line flight over the stadium. There's a couple videos online of the pilots who are looking at those rules and requirements going, yeah, we're not going to do that. So one in particular, I love this one. One in particular, November 20th, 2010, Iowa's playing Ohio State at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City. There are 4 T-38 jets coming out of Vance Air Force Base. They're coming in hot and they are coming in low. They only cleared the scoreboard by 58 feet.
Whoa.
Which is not a lot.
That's not a lot at all.
And you're kind of wondering, like, well, what's going on here? Well, the lead pilot was an Air Force lieutenant colonel, and it was his very last flight before retirement.
Oh,
so he doesn't give a crap.
They should have seen that coming.
I'm doing whatever I want.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to land my plane in the middle of that stadium, is what he's saying. My favorite part about this, though, is when he was questioned, like, hey, what? This was, you were not sticking to protocol. This was not according to plan. He said, well, I descended a little bit to avoid civilian air traffic. Okay, whatever. But he also stated he lost track of his altitude because, quote, he was busy with other tasks, end quote. And I'm going, what other tasks? Your altitude is the only thing that you need to be paying attention to at that point in time.
Oh, come on.
And so I want to know,
no. You're wrong about this.
Was this guy preoccupied with?
You're wrong about that.
During his flyover.
You're wrong about that, because if this is a real training exercise, then I'm sure that they're looking at, like, and I think there are other people. I know nothing, but there are other people on the flight,
which is the theme of this podcast, by the way. Yeah, we just have to
like pay attention to, hey, we're gonna drop the bomb here this second. Like, don't they have? You're
not dropping a bomb on Kinnick Stadium. It's just that, hey, we got to.
But you're going through the motions, aren't you?
At this certain height, at this certain speed, and they are failing.
You're going through the motions, though, aren't you?
Those three criteria. We have to fly over the stadium at this point in time. Let's put four. Fly over this stadium at this location at this time, at this height, at this speed. They failed at 2 of those. You failed the mission.
Okay, but maybe look, if he was about to retire, maybe he's going through his bucket list. Maybe that was the other task that he was doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's either that or catching Pokemon.
Well, the other.
I mean, but I'm wondering, he's on his cell phone, being like, "Oh yeah,
gotta catch them all."
How high are we?
Here's the other. The more important question is, like, did he hold a press conference after his flyover?
Oh no.
Did he go back
like
to the stadium?
No.
Did he go back to the stadium and get that, like, Aaron Andrews? Hey, we had the guy who just did the flyover. Have a couple questions though. How did that happen?
How'd you almost clip the scoreboard?
I want to see that press conference.
That would be fun.
How'd you flyover go? How'd the plane feel?
Yeah, really well. Yeah. We executed that perfectly. Yeah. Really? Because you almost clipped the scoreboard. You gave grandma a heart attack in the stands. 3 people died of shock from what's going on. Now, they did, there's been a couple other, like, ones that have been very, very close, where, like, one kind of came in and did, like, a swoop angle thingy very low, like lower than the upper deck, like kind of did like these are some, and it was at, I think it was at like it was at a Navy game, a Navy football game, and this guy's just showboating. This guy's just like, look what I can do. But they're interviewing the people afterwards, the people in the stands afterwards. And they're like, is that pretty cool? And they're like, that was the greatest thing about the game. Like, the people love it. It is extremely dangerous, and the people love it.
Well, I gotta say this. We love our armed forces, and yes. While Andy is against flyovers, I'm all for it. I think we should.
And now that I know that for a tactical purpose, or like they're training for tactical missions, I'm all for them.
We should be.
And by the way, I do have to pause at this point in time to say, if there is any noise coming from a very loud tractor, that is my father-in-law mowing the lawn. He is trying out for the Minnesota Twins grounds crew. He's got the tractor on there. He's got the tractor out, and he is just whipping by. So sorry for
he's doing his own type of flyover.
Acoustic problems. Yeah, he's we have a flyover in this show.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
attractive.
I mean, now that again, very enlightening segment here, very enlightening opening.
Yeah.
I think we
And
should
I'm
do
all
an
for no, I'm all for the flyovers now. Now that I
I'm
know their purpose, now that I know it's for national defense,
yeah, yeah. I
it's
think we
not
should do
just a simple PR stunt by the military or to drum up patriotism, USA, let's feel
America.
good.
America. I think
America.
we should be
Yeah, like
doing
no, it's
more.
more than that.
I think we should be doing more, and I think we should make a couple of them more ironical. I'm glad we're here at the committee because I would
Yeah.
like to just like I would like
The
to
committee was
propose.
supposed what the committee was formed to decide, are we spending too much money on this? And the committee's going to walk out being like, we're not spending enough money on this.
Right. I want to just say in a couple weeks when Andy and my dad and I are out on the golf course, I'd like a flyover before the first
Flyover.
hole.
Absolutely.
But we're not going to tell dad. We're just going to have a flyover real low
Yeah.
at wherever at Angels Crossing.
Either one of us is on the radio as we're warming up. It's like, all right, we got 12 seconds. You're 12 seconds out. As dad
He
is
just did
putting
it.
his
He
ball
just
on
did
the
his practice
tee
swing. Yeah.
in the backswing. Yeah. He just did his backswing. Go. You have a green light. Go. Backswing, flyover. Perfect.
Well, now it got me thinking. Not that again, we always go too long on the opens. We always go too long on everything. But
The entire show.
I'm wondering like what is the lowest level of sporting event that flyovers are acceptable? Like, can we do a flyover at a little league
At our
game?
minor league baseball games? Absolutely. Every single minor league game we have, we are going to have a flyover. So the other interesting part of this, sorry, I keep cutting you off, but the other interesting part, I keep cutting you off every single show, but is the event organizer, so whoever's putting the game together, when we own a minor league baseball team, we would call whatever branch of service we want. So we can call the Coast Guard, we can call the Navy, we can call the Air Force, we can call the Army, and we can ask for whatever aircraft we want as well. And we don't have to pay a dime for it. They get over 1,000 requests every single year. It's already built into the budget.
Oh,
and so
wait a second.
If we have 60 games in a year, we're making 60 calls and be like, we want to fly over. We don't have to pay a dime.
I for sure have been to a game with a flyover because the Tower Buzzers had one. The Tower Buzzers had a flyover naturally.
I was gonna say, if the Tower Buzzers have to have a flyover every single game, don't they?
No, just for the opener, but it was pretty cool.
Oh.
They were a little too high for my liking. I wanted them to be a little bit lower.
Yeah, you got
ONT, but ONT Airport's pretty close by, so that's probably why. ONT, by the way, sponsor podcast if you want to. We're taking sponsorships all over the place.
Anybody and everybody.
The other thing, like, I also want there to be a couple ironical ones. So I think we should, if I'm back in Prague at some point next year and we go to another Jaromir Jagr game, I think we should ask for a flyover there. I don't know if this is the Prague Air Force, or if we get an Air Force, if we get, the American Air Force to do one for us.
Yeah.
But I know it's a dome stadium. I don't care. I want to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. The flyovers at a dome stadium would be quite ironical.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more along the lines of get like an old World War II prop plane or something. Like get like so and just have that thing just putzing along. That's the flyover because you can ask for any aircraft. So I say when we own the minor league baseball team, we're having a flyover every single game, and we're having a different plane every single game as well to fit whatever themed night it is that night.
Yeah, I like this. I like this idea. I like where this is headed.
Yeah.
I think whoever I'm going to be just submitting requests now randomly.
Just for flyovers. Actually, that's a good point. We got to start looking into what's the process just for, because anybody can make the event organizer makes a request. We're event organizers for our golf outing with dad in a couple weeks.
I think Legends Attic. I mean, I'll talk to Eddie tomorrow. I think Legends Attic, Oral Hershiser Chevrolet. We're doing. Somebody makes a sale.
Flyovers.
Somebody makes a sale of a car, a nice Silverado flyover. I think that would be really cool.
Yep.
Really special. All right. Well, that was again illuminating flyovers.
Yeah.
Not just for patriotism, although kind of.
No. Well,
but also
that too.
for patriotism plus National defense.
Military strategy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. Moving on.
Cool. All right. Moving on. As we uh let's say demonstrated to the audience last week, we really have no idea what we're talking about when it comes to soccer or football, the
We
beautiful game.
demonstrate that every week with every
And
topic, but yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I think we get by a little bit better if it's baseball. We can kind of fake our way through that one a little bit more than any other sport. We're going to do okay with football as well when it comes to football season. But soccer, we literally have no knowledge whatsoever. I am just working off of what my buddy Daniel taught me when I was living down in Brazil, and he would just stand at the TV and just talk about tactics. But yet here we are again. We're going to open with the little quick hits with the World Cup, seeing as we are down to 8 teams remaining. Today, France plays Morocco. I think they start right now, actually, as we're recording this. But bigger news past few days is the overturned red card of Falarin Balogun of the USA. If you didn't see it, he stepped on a player's ankle, drew a red card, and the rules per FIFA are if a player gets a red card, they are forfeit for the next game. They are suspended. They are not allowed to play. One, President Donald Trump made a call to FIFA's president, said, hey, can you look at this one again? And FIFA was like, sure, he can play. That's fine. And my question is, how corrupt is FIFA?
Okay, first of all, did President Trump actually make that call? Because it would, he would be the guy
Yes.
who would
He was
say,
the one who said, he was like, yeah, I gave a call to FIFA president.
right, but isn't he the type of guy who would say, hey, I made a call when he didn't actually make a call? He's just
Yes, he
taking
would be
credit
that
for
guy.
something that, he
Yes, he
didn't
would.
actually do.
So you're saying we need corroboration is the FIFA
No, I
president,
don't.
who's also very Trump-esque. Like
No, I don't care.
I wouldn't trust a word out of that guy's mouth either. I think we need like phone records. We need to go to
No.
AT&T and
I don't.
say, was there a call placed outside of the White House to FIFA headquarters in Zurich? And did they chat?
We don't need to fact check this part. I just wanted to bring it up as a possibility. I don't really
It is
care
a
whether he
possibility.
called. I don't really
Absolutely.
care whether he called or not.
It is a possibility.
As far as the actual red card, it's like I don't think it should have been a red card. I saw the play. I saw a replay of it. Like it was explained to me again, novice, not knowing anything. It didn't seem to warrant a red card, and that was while Belgium was up in arms about it. It didn't seem like it should have been a red card. So let's get that out of the way first.
There's not a lot. Sure, that's fine. The converse here, or the opposition would say, yeah, but protocol is red card. You are not playing the next game, and it rarely deviates from that protocol. Yes, it has happened in the past, but that's not something that is a typical or normal thing. That things go under review, and then the red card is suspended for the year or whatever they decided there.
Sure.
So that's why it's a break from the norm. It's a break from protocol, and that's where I think people are maybe somewhat justified in saying, "Ooh, this was a little foul."
Oh yeah. Okay. To the question of FIFA corruption. Of course, FIFA's corrupt, and I love it. Again, I don't follow soccer, but man,
FIFA. This is the only thing that will draw you in. Is FIFA's corruption?
Yeah, I look at if worldwide corporation, global corporation, FIFA. They know they have the goods, and they're just going like, yeah, you want some good stuff coming your way? How much money are you going to fork over? This is people with power taking advantage of their power in exactly the way that
you expect them to.
Exactly. I'm not going to say as they should because they shouldn't, but as I expect them.
As you expect them to, yeah. Are you familiar with the history of FIFA corruption at all?
Not really.
Did you watch? Okay. So again, we are soccer novices, and yet both of us can watch a Netflix documentary. And the FIFA Uncovered Netflix documentary that came out right before the last World Cup. They have 4 episodes, and it kind of goes through the history of FIFA corruption. It starts back in the 70s with there was a Brazilian dude named João Havelange, is how you would say it in Portuguese.
Pretty sure you got that right.
No, well, I mean, I do know how to say Brazilian names, seeing as I
Yeah.
had to say all my students' names on there. So João Havelange, Havelange, uh, he kind of started all of this of just saying, yeah, we'll take your money and we'll do whatever you want us to. You want some rights, you want some broadcast rights, you want some advertising rights, sure, we'll do that. Just start forking over the dough. Transitions to Sepp Blatter. Sepp Blatter's the more famous one, face of corruption within FIFA because he's the most recent. A long story short, and I would just say recommend go watch the documentary on Netflix. It's all about marketing rights. It's about getting in bed with Coca-Cola and Adidas. Countries are buying votes from members in FIFA's governing body. South Africa notably gave $10 million away to host the World Cup. Russia and Qatar are dangling dollars in front of people as well to host the World Cups. It all kind of came to a little bit of a head in 2015 when the Swiss police arrested some FIFA bigwigs at some hotel in Zurich. They threw bed sheets over them to try to hide their identity. That didn't quite work. The press figured out who they were. But it's concurrent with the FBI pretty much charging FIFA as like a mafia enterprise. It's an organized crime. It's like a racketeering thing, wire fraud, money laundering. It involved $150 million in bribes and kickbacks. It's like, yeah, this thing is a straight up monopoly that owns soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And as you just said, you're okay with it.
Well,
I am not.
well, no, hold on.
The issue is like, why don't people, if they know FIFA is as corrupt as it is, or any sporting league, all of the sports leagues now have been decentralized. There aren't multiple leagues anymore, which is something we're going to get to with the All-Star break conversation or the All-Star game conversation. There are not multiple leagues in every sport anymore. It is one league for every major sport. Barring wrestling, there's still a couple of leagues in wrestling that kind of write their own rules, operate on their own terms. They do broadcast deals, negotiate marketing stuff independently. But for the rest of the sports, you're funneling everything through one organization, one institution, and it just makes it rife for bribery. It makes it rife for corruption. Like you're going to get this inevitably. I mean, FIFA is the most notable that we have had in the past 30, 40, 50 years. But this is happening in every other sport. And I'm kind of going, do fans even have a choice with all of the corruption that's happening on the business side of the sport? Fans can't walk away. If you want to watch soccer, you got one show in town and it's FIFA. If you want to watch football, you got one show in town and that's the NFL. And I'm going, what recourse does the average fan have, me, when I'm not very comfortable with all of the corruption, with all of the bribery, with the way that the institution works, and yet I don't have another choice in the matter. I got to suckle the teat of FIFA or the NFL or MLB. I got one option. That's it.
Yeah, I mean it's a slippery slope, right? Hey, this institution, everybody's doing it, right? It's the line that most people say,
Yeah.
or in putting myself in the shoes of a FIFA, putting myself in the very, very nice shoes of FIFA executives or NCAA executives, you go, well,
Oh, NCAA,
'cause
great example.
that's the one that I think of the most now in America is like
Yes.
if I were
Massive corruption.
you have this like religious like allegiance on the fans'
Yes.
part
Yes.
towards their teams, towards their universities, whatever it is, and you're
You have made
telling
yourself indispensable
and you're
to people
telling
you
me,
have made addicts.
and again, we've said it before on this podcast, we're going to say it again, humans are going to human. If there's an
Yep.
opportunity to take a
Humans are human
shortcut,
everywhere. Yep.
if there's an opportunity to take a shortcut or to get a little bit more money through doing this little thing here and you can justify it in some sort of way, they're going to do it. And
Yes.
that's where it's like they know that I mean, you're a prime, again, we've talked about this before. You're a prime example of somebody who loved Penn State, loved the
Yes.
University of Penn State. and has since turned away. Not again, you love
To
Jerry
give a little bit
Sandusky.
of context to the people out there, in sixth grade, we had a day in school where it was dress up for what you want to be when you grow up. It's like professions day, whatever it was called. Most people are dressing up as like a doctor or a whatever. I don't know what other people are. Astronauts. Actually, I don't
Firefighter.
remember anybody coming. I was gonna say I don't remember anybody coming in like an astronaut suit, but that would have been fantastic if somebody did. I dressed up as Joe Paterno.
Yeah.
In sixth grade, I dressed up as Joe Paterno because that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be the Penn State head football coach.
And I think that's, again, putting myself in the shoes of an executive, you go, nobody's going to stop me, right? Nobody's going to stop me. I can do this. In terms of the fans, I think you're right to say like there's no other option, but I think from a fan perspective, you just kind of justify it as like, but my team isn't doing it. Or even if my team is doing it, I care about the competition,
Come on.
not about the institution. I think that's
And I think that's the separation that people have made. Yes.
It's an unconscious thing probably, but it's probably more of just like I'm just here I just care about the game. I don't care about the business of it. I care about the game and I care about the sport.
100% people are able to kind of disassociate what happens behind the scenes, the bureaucratic part of it, and the product on the field. You can't tell me that a Michigan fan, while Jim Harbaugh was there, is going, yeah, he's squeaky clean. Michigan's doing it the right way. I don't think we know Michigan fans. I don't think any Michigan fan would be like, yeah, everything. They're all an admission of, yep, we're cheaters. But it's still fine because our boys are playing really, really hard on the field and they're still going to be a fan. Going back 2 steps, you're right that I'm probably a good case in point of college football was my life. I watched from sunup essentially until well past midnight, the West Coast games. I would watch close to 10 games a day on Saturday. I wanted to be a college football coach. And when all of the stories of corruption start surfacing, that's when I was like, I feel really uncomfortable. I was on track. I was coaching high school football. I saw what was happening, even at the high school level, some things that were happening. Morally, it was like chewing on sand or tinfoil. It's like, this is grating. It's very hard to stomach. I can't do this. I feel terrible. Seeing it all come out and I'm going, yeah, I got to kind of walk away a little bit. And that's why, yeah, I'm going to watch a couple college football games here and there, but it is not my life anymore the way that it once was, or my once future job.
Yeah. I mean, again,
So it is possible. I mean, I bring that up to say, like, it is possible. So there are fans that do walk away. They see the corruption and they do walk away. But for most people, that's not going to be reality. For most people, it's, I love this sport. I care about the product on the field. I really don't care what happens, again, in the institution. I don't care that it's a monopoly. I don't care about all the bribery, all the corruption, all the completely out of bounds ethical decisions that some of these people are making. They, as you said, they care about the product on the field.
Yeah. And I think that's just,
I want to kind of go to we that's fine, but we need to clean some stuff up. That it is not okay that FIFA does what it does. It's not okay that the NCAA does what it does. How do you fix that stuff? That's where I go to. No, I'm a proponent of going to let's decentralize again. Let's go back to having multiple leagues. And that's why I was actually okay. Not that it was because it was Saudi money that was funding all of this stuff. I was okay with Live Golf. I was okay with the idea of a competitor challenging the PGA and being like, you know what, maybe we do need to rethink some things.
Well, but that's where, so my question for this, and I'm just going to add questions and answers, is like, so let's go back to the NCAA. There has been rumblings, and this has been a long time with the NCAA. Like nobody's happy with the NCAA as an overarching institution that organizes all of these different leagues. There's been rumblings that the Big Ten and the SEC are eventually just going to.
They could splinter. They make their own. Yes, they make their own.
To me, and again,
organization.
Not knowing really anything, it seems like to me, the Big Ten and the SEC are going, man, the NCAA has been really corrupt or been taking advantage of us for such a long time. Why don't we just do this ourselves? What is stopping the Big Ten and the SEC from just creating their own or creating one super league between the two of them and just creating a either more or just as corrupt system as the current NCAA.
And that's the problem you're going to run into. Is This is a much longer, more philosophical conversation, but does every institution eventually turn corrupt? Does it rot from the inside once you've institutionalized and bureaucratized absolutely everything? History has shown, yeah, probably. That there is no unblemished, untarnished, pure institution or organization. Once you have offices, once you're dealing in millions of dollars in broadcasting rights and marketing rights, no, it's all going to turn corrupt.
Okay, so what is the answer to deconstruct the institution? I mean, basically what you're saying is
that's impossible. I mean, a group of people is inevitably going to form an institution. And so I know we're talking a little bit in a circle here of going, well, then maybe we can't get rid of the corruption. If a group of people automatically becomes an organization, which automatically bureaucratizes, which automatically becomes corrupt, then this is just what we're stuck with. This is our fate, essentially. And maybe my solution to this is almost like a renewal process where it's like, once you get to that massive, there's a tipping point. The NCAA is way too big, way too corrupt. Splinter for a time, have a few different leagues, a few different options, see what the best is. You have to go to it like an evolutionary concept of you need diversity within the system. That's why, again, I was okay with the live golf stuff. We're going to change the format a little bit here. We're going to change the payout structure. We're going to change the way that we do golf. You need diversity for an ecosystem to survive.
Yeah, I think, well,
right now with all of these monocultures, like, yeah, you're going to I shouldn't say that. You're not getting a stale game from all of these sports, but it's going to be hard. And you're going to have to, we're going to talk about the All-Star game in a second here. You're going to have to keep manufacturing meaning. You're going to keep having it to be more of an event, more than than a significant game, let's say. You need to have the frills. You need to have the bells and whistles around the game more and more if the game doesn't have meaning, because you haven't evolved in 100 years.
We're getting too serious and we're talking about institutions and we're getting to the point, we're getting really, really out of our depth here. So I'm just going to bring it back to the nonsensical. And I'm glad you said evolution, because all I can think about in our last like couple sentence here is the movie Evolution, which is Andy and I, one of our favorite movies. And just again, another.
If you have not seen Evolution, it is it might solve all of our problems in this conversation. Is how do you? It's a great tie-in, because the simplest organism survives.
Don't steal my
giant amoeba.
Don't steal my thunder. I swear. Why do you do this? You just bull over me. I'm about to make a great point, and you just swoop in and steal it. Thanks, Corbin.
All right.
Thanks, Corbin Burnson.
Whenever I say, you go ahead and you just put what you're going to say right now. Just put it over whatever it is.
It's too late.
It's not too late.
This is Sean. This is Sean at the end of the 65 million years ago episode, where he's standing in the field and he's about to deliver the line, and his dad Corbin just goes in, that's where the body, and he's like, Dad, you're ruining the whole thing. You just did that to me. Last little tongue in cheek.
Point is evolution. And explains this entire conversation. Yeah,
you need sports institutions need occasional mitosis. Sometimes you need to break in order to have a healthy organism, and you need to recycle. I think that would be the answer, but it's way past our pay grade, and we are totally out of our depth. So let's move on to the next quick hit here, which is we are heading into the All-Star break for the Major League Baseball season. We're going to talk about the Major League All-Star game itself after our commercial break. But before we get there, let's talk about just the rosters and some, traditional radio fodder head scratchers and people who didn't make the team and people who did make the team, and just general thoughts leading up to the All-Star break. Andy, go ahead.
My very first one, and this is where our Cubs homerism is going to shine brightly, is how is PCA not starting? Like, that one is just beyond me. He is the war leader. He is a phenom. He is in the running with Shohei for NL MVP. Like, it's he made the team, but he did not get voted in by the fans. And some of this has to do with the voting structure. Which, do you know how the voting structure works?
No, but it doesn't. I looked at the roster and it doesn't. I mean, well, yes, he should be the starter in center
Yeah,
field. It doesn't surprise me given the three guys who are starting, which
right. So
we should say for the audience, the three starters in the outfield for the NL are Brandon Marsh, Juan Soto, and Andy Pajes.
yeah, all three are deserving this year. I would not start Juan Soto probably. And Brandon Marsh doesn't deserve a start as well. This kind of comes down to the voting structure, where the first two phases are all fan based. So in the beginning of June, they open it up. Every team nominates essentially what they're rolling out there every day. Three outfielders, they nominate an infielder. And then the fans vote on all of those players. The top two vote getters at each position in each league then go to kind of like a head-to-head vote off. And this is the second phase of the fan voting here. The fans have about, I think it's a 72-hour window to cast one vote a day. Before that, they can cast like 5 votes a day, but actually there's some loopholes. You can vote more than that if you want to. But in the second phase of fan voting, you only get 1 vote a day. And the winner of that is the automatic starter for the All-Star game. The guy who finished in second doesn't even get an automatic in, because then it goes to the players and coaches voting, where they put on I think it's like 17 guys. The players and coaches vote for the 17 guys in the league. You cannot vote for anybody on your own team. You can't vote for yourself. Obviously, you can't vote for anybody on your own team. You got to vote for some other guys in the league. After that, there's a handful of positions that the commissioner's office then says, "Oh, we got to kind of get this guy's in." That rule is more of like a logistics thing, because one of the rules is you have to have at least one representative from every single team. The commissioner's office makes sure everything is level, make sure everything is kind of, every team is represented. Sometimes they'll throw in like a special player. Clayton Kershaw got the commissioner's vote last year as kind of a special honoree. Bryce Harper, because the All-Star game is in Philadelphia this year, and he was not voted in by the fans, nor was he voted in by the players. Even though Bryce is having a really good year, the commissioner said, "Yeah, you can be on the NL team there as well."
But is
So I
that
think
for that one is
yeah,
that just Rob Manfred just saying,
that's Rob
Bryce,
Manfred giving like a
sorry that
nod.
we got in a fight last year about in the locker room?
Possibly. Actually, I can see that one more like Rob Manfred didn't want Bryce Harper on the All-Star team, and Theo's like, "No, we got to put Bryce on the All-Star team."
It
And
does
Rob just storms out of that room.
it
And
does
then
remind
Theo,
me. I don't even remember who the player was, but on the Dan Lebitard show a few years back, um, back when it was on ESPN, when I listened to it, Billy Gill was trying to spearhead my favorite Billy Gill, who's now on with the Ringer. He was spearheading a campaign to get somebody into the All-Star game who was like a very mediocre player,
yeah.
and they
Oh, no, no,
believed
no.
that the commissioner's office he got a bunch of votes and they vetoed like the player
Yes.
being on the team.
So talk about corruption. I mean, really, the first two phases with the fan vote stuff, if you run a good marketing campaign for your players and there's a ballot, let's say I just went to the Twins game last night and you got the little cup holders. Let's say you put like a little paper ballot in there, even though I think most of the voting right now is digital, whatever, but like put a little QR code right in front of the seats, like vote for our guys. Like you're going to get, especially at these for these teams that are pulling in some good numbers. I mean, the Braves got a few guys in there because like Ozzy Albies. Ozzy Albies is the starting second baseman for the NL team. Should not be. That's probably the biggest snub is Bryce Terang definitely should be starting for the. He didn't even get on the All-Star team. The players didn't even vote him in either. But Ozzy Albies, it's like, oh, you just got the Atlanta faithful. You got the Atlanta
Yeah.
tribe essentially voting you into that. So there's definitely a opportunity that it's just rife with whoever can kind of mobilize their fan base the best in voting in their players. That's who's going to kind of start the All-Star team. So yeah, the way that going back to the PCA stuff, the way that the voting works, the timing of all of it, I kind of understand why and how PCA is not starting this game, seeing as he really turned it on at the very tail end of May
Yeah.
and just had a I don't use this word hardly ever because I think it's very overused, but he did have a historic
Right.
June, which maybe makes it so, all right, fan voting kind of didn't see all of that. Fan voting is mostly name recognition stuff. That's why Juan Soto is in there as well, even though Juan Soto's been
I
shelved.
mean, it's a popularity
A good
contest.
segment. Yeah, it is a popularity contest. It's who has the MLB marketed, whose face has been on their marketing material. And Juan Soto's has been, and therefore Juan Soto's going to get the votes, which is why Bryce Terang didn't get the votes. So it's not for the fan stuff, especially. It's not a measure of metrics. It's not a hey, how you doing this year? It's a oh, I know that name. That's who's getting into the All-Star game.
Right.
So that's why PCA is not, although PCA, I think, is a young star. He is one of the young faces of Major League Baseball. They are trying to market him because he is, I think he's who you want as well. If you are Major League Baseball, you want to pub this guy. Am I
especially considering
wrong
that
on that?
He's
Is
going,
that again Cubs? Is that Cubs homerism coming through again? So like he can give the most bland and boring interview, and he can also give a very thoughtful, articulate interview as well.
I would rather have him than Brandon Marsh, who looks like he just got out of the
Oh,
shower. Ugh, that hair. What is
oh,
he doing? Why does he
oh.
do that? It's disgusting.
Has anybody interviewed Brandon Marsh? And that was the lead question: is dude, what's going on with the hair?
Like every single time. Why do you do that?
Yeah, it's gross. I'm sorry,
It
Brandon
was,
Marsh. We'd love to have you on the show, but
and
ugh, just
FIFA,
know that most of the questions you'd field on this show are going to be about your personal, like personal care routine.
yeah, we should say right now, after doing two segments, Brandon Marsh, welcome on the show. FIFA, we're open to corruption just like you. Coca-Cola, Adidas, if you want to sponsor with us, we're all for it.
This
Real
show's
quick,
brought to you by FIFA.
yeah, real quick before we go to break, I'm just going to throw Andy. I'm going to throw a question at Andy that we didn't prepare for.
Yeah.
Most notable thing from the first half of Major League Baseball, and for you, again, I'm going to answer the question first to give you a little bit of time to think. But something we didn't talk about a couple weeks ago or a week ago that I found notable, not that it's terribly notable, but I was watching the Cubs Brewers series a couple weekends ago in Milwaukee, and it was the third game of the three-game set on Sunday. And the game came down to the wire. And again, we watch a lot of Cubs games, so this is not going to be super revelatory. But if you know Craig Counsell, you know that he is not somebody who emotes very much. He is very even keel. He's very like
Stayed.
steady
Yes,
line.
yeah. Yeah.
At the end of that game, when it was a little crunch time, he was pacing in the dugout.
Yeah,
He
he
was
does do that.
he was flipping his hat. Like
Yeah.
when the Cubs won, he like showed like he was really, really pumped up. Like more like he'll pump his fist and he'll clap at the end of a win. But there seemed to be something a little extra.
This was next level, Craig.
Yeah, this was like turned up to 11, Craig, which is still majority of people's like 4.
Yeah.
But he seemed to really take that win to heart. Now I think that was the first time the Cubs had won a series against the Brewers in like 7 years or something. It's over exaggerated, but yeah, I just that one stuck out. That is a memory of mine from the first half of the season where I'm going, huh. Craig actually cares about this series a little bit more. And if you don't know, if you don't watch the Cubs Brewers series a lot, like every time the Cubs go up to Milwaukee, Craig gets booed mercilessly.
Oh yeah.
So
Still
I
lives
don't.
there from there. Like obviously his heart is there. He didn't want to piss off a fan base.
I think he still
And
lives there, doesn't he?
yeah, he still lives there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just I found that interesting watching that game, and I kind of liked it as a Cubs fan. I kind of enjoyed seeing Craig kind of go through it when we normally see him just be very even keel.
So is the question, what's the biggest thing? What's the biggest surprise of the first
Biggest
half?
biggest takeaway, and that's my biggest takeaway.
Your biggest takeaway is Craig Counsell wants to win baseball games.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. I look, it's a big takeaway for me. I gotta be honest. Big one. Wasn't expecting it.
That's your big takeaway. The man doesn't emote, so you think, nah, he's pretty indifferent to whether they win or lose.
My
No,
other
I'm pretty sure he wants to win every game.
Well, it's the emotion that he showed. My other biggest takeaway is that I was watching, and this is all recency bias. This all happened in the last 2 weeks, and there's probably a bigger takeaway. But the other thing, I was watching highlights of the Rays game. How long have they been shutting down their upper deck? Nobody sits up there.
No, yeah, they've got it tarped over, I
Yeah,
believe. Yeah.
that's sad. Maybe they should move. Maybe they
Well,
should move.
there
Maybe
was
they should
talk
move
of
to
them
Nashville.
splitting time between Tampa and Montreal. That fizzled out. But there was time that they would spend half of their season at home in Tampa and half of their season at home in Montreal. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's not my biggest takeaway is that the Rays are good, but the Rays are really good.
Yeah,
And they shouldn't be. And the fan base, I'm going to call out Tampa Bay. What do you call people from Tampa Bay?
Devil Rays.
Tampa Bayans? I'm going to call them out and be like, you have a great baseball team. They deserve more of your support. There you go. There's my hot take.
Give me
Give
me your biggest takeaway, and I hope it's something more mild than Craig Counsell likes to win baseball games.
Yeah, that was yours.
No, I hope yours is more. I hope yours is like less significant,
more tepid than that.
Come in underneath mine.
That's hard to do. I mean, it is. Again, it's recency bias is not the best way to say this, but it's kind of based on what we've talked about already. Is I think there are some surprises this year. This year is not going according to script. I'm going to point first at the AL Central. The Tigers were supposed to run away with that division. They are knocking on the door of the basement, and they'd be there if the Royals were any. They're getting better. They're getting better.
I'm holding out hope. I said on this podcast, I think at the last 3 weeks, I'm holding out hope for the Tigers. They're now only 5.5 games back of a team that were suspect on the White Sox. So I just want to point that out.
Okay, but when the season started, I said they're getting better. Okay. The Twins are in the mix, though. Cleveland is always going to be there. Cleveland's saw them against the Twins last night. They have some issues that they need to iron out. They don't look like a good baseball team. And they've got some underperformers with Jose Ramirez out for a while. Like they're going to be hurting. The White Sox are another surprise as well. Again, my answer is the surprises. This season is not going according to script. I'm using the AL Central as a kind of case in point. The Tigers were supposed to be, because I said before the season even started, it's like, hey, if you're flying in to Chicago on around July 20th or whatever, the Cubs are playing the Tigers. And I believe I said to you, or I said it to my wife, whoever I said it to, is at that point in time, you should be watching 2 first-place baseball teams, maybe the 2 best teams in the league. The Tigers will have a double-digit lead in the AL Central. That isn't anywhere close to reality. We will hopefully be going to a Cubs-Tigers game in a couple weeks, and we will be watching a third-place team at best and a second-place team that has no hope whatsoever of overtaking the Brewers. So, again, my answer is just going to be more like, there's some things that have gone off script a little bit here in the first half. The Dodgers are still dodgering.
Hold on. Hold on.
There are still some things that are everybody's saying their lines. The Dodgers are saying their lines. The Phillies will eventually start saying they're going to be in first place at the end when this is all said and done. So some teams are they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, but I think there are a couple teams out there that are like, whoa, you're not doing what you were supposed to do.
I'm going to take this opportunity to make fun of you now.
Please
you make
do.
fun
Craig
of me because of my Craig Counsell likes winning baseball. Your answer is baseball's gonna baseball. Your answer is
yes. Yes.
Baseball turns out it just baseballed.
Fangraphs didn't predict everything perfectly.
Super enlightening. Super enlightening, Andy. Yeah, way to go.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Takeaway. Okay.
Yeah, you can't get this hard-hitting analysis anywhere, people. That's why you tune in to this podcast.
I
Is
think
every year some teams are going to surprise you.
I think football's the easiest only because the other three sports are a little harder. That's just a little callback. That's the type of analysis you come to the podcast for. All right, we're going to take a break and we'll come back talking about the MLB All-Star game right after this. As always, this episode is presented by Legends Attic in Claremont, California. Follow us on legends.attic on Instagram or Legends Attic on YouTube. We're doing a ton of fun content. Mackenzie, who just graduated from Arizona, came back full time. She is going to be
Congrats, Mackenzie.
She is McRippin. So we just did a whole thing with Steve Sachs at Legendary Tuesdays on the Tower Buzzers. She ripped a pack with Steve Sachs. Join us as we follow her on her journey as she learns the hobby. Learn if you've never been into the hobby of cards, but if you want to get into it, follow her at McRippin _ on Instagram as well. We're gonna be doing a lot of fun content about teaching her the hobby, and she's just gonna be ripping packs all over the country. We're also gonna be at the West Coast Card Show next weekend, doing a lot of deals. So come stop by the booth and just a lot of content between McRippin, between our deals, between Lola, which is the ladies of Legends Attic. We got a lot of fun stuff, and you can see inside of our world, inside of just what makes everybody go, inside of just kind of our niche. We have Oral Hershiser Chevrolet. We've got Legends Attic. We've just got a bunch of
Chevy.
Thank you.
I didn't miss
so
it.
a lot of stuff going on, and make sure to follow us. And make sure to check out, just the shop too. If you're in the area, it's a really cool shop. It's like half museum, half card shop. And just go in and check it out. There's pinball machines. There's pop culture stuff. There's cards, obviously. There's a Dodger room. There's Dave Holbrook's art. So check out Legends Attic if you've never had before. Legends.attic on Instagram or legendsattic.com. We're also presented by Oral Hershiser Chevrolet, making you do it again.
Oh, Chevy.
Oh, Chevy at the corner of Central and Riverside in Chino. For all of your vehicle needs, check out ochevy.com. I drive a Chevy Equinox. It rides like a dream. It's an EV. And let me tell you, it's really nice to not have to go to the pump, especially out here in California, because prices are...
What are gas prices topping off at?
I actually don't even look at them anymore because
you wouldn't even know. But I mean, you got to drive by and see the neon lights.
They're in the upper five.
Really high number, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're in the upper fives, is in the sixes. I think back in the throes of the peak of our Middle Eastern conflict that's going on right now, I think it was reaching near 7 on a couple pumps. So, Oral Hershiser Chevrolet, for all of
get an EV, people. That's a great plug for get an EV at Oral Hershiser Chevrolet.
We have a really cool E-Ray Corvette, which is the EV version of a Corvette that's like special edition. They only made 250 of them for the 250th American anniversary. It's white, it's got stars and stripes on it, it's got blue and red interior. It's really cool. Come buy it and tell them that I sent you so that I get a little bit of money.
He gets commission.
I get commission from them. I would love that, and Eddie would love that. So, thank you, Legends Attic and Oral Hershiser Chevrolet, for sponsoring this podcast as always. And now back to the show.
Adam, to get us out of here today, we are going to do a little deep dive on the MLB All-Star Game, which will be being played a few days from now in Philadelphia. The MLB All-Star Game, it used to have a weight. It used to have an importance both for the players and for the fans. There was a cultural weight to this. People tuned in to watch this game. It was important to them. Back in, especially, let's say, the 70s, you get the famous Pete Rose rounding third, extra innings, takes out Ray Fosse, separates his shoulder, wins the game with that run, though. Like that was the attitude. That was the way that those guys saw that game, is we're here to win this. The fans loved it. Ratings were pretty high for all-star games. So it used to have a cultural significance that I would say it doesn't have that anymore. Would you disagree with that at least? Or at least there's been an evolution in the significance of the MLB All-Star game.
Yeah, I would agree, and we probably will touch on this soon. But when they don't do the winner of the game, it gets home field advantage in the
They do
World
not
Series anymore.
anymore.
When
They
did
got
that
rid of that
end?
20 after 2016. I
Okay.
think it was like a 2020 2002 or 2003 to 2016 is where I think they got rid of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think
They're trying with that. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. With that, what they're trying to do is like manufacture significance. I'm going to keep coming back to that phrase over and over and over again. It's like they realize, I think MLB has realized this doesn't have the cultural weight or gravity it once did. We now need to start putting stuff around it, and we need to start putting bells and whistles to it. We need to start manufacturing significance here. And that was one of the attempts that they made is, well, how do we make this a little bit more significant? Is, well, let's make the winner get home field advantage in the World Series. And I think they realized that's probably not the greatest thing. It kind of disadvantages teams that have had sustained success over 162 games. It's unfair to them.
Right. Right. I'm definitely gonna derail this conversation, just a heads up
I hope
of
so. That's
like
great.
we're gonna talk bigger picture about sports and competitiveness. But
And eventually we'll get back to the movie Evolution. David Duchovny, Orlando
of course we
Jones.
will. Of course.
Yeah.
And just the scene where they sing in the
Sean
theme.
William Scott.
Yeah.
Are you
Uh
gonna eat that bacon?
I ordered it, didn't I? She stole my shirt. She just stole it.
She's
Well, I can't even remember the question now. What was the question? Is there a question that I have to answer?
you already answered it. Is like obviously, or I shouldn't have said obviously. Is would you agree with the fact that it used to have cultural significance? It used to be meaningful again to the players, to the fans. It doesn't have that anymore.
Yeah, I think the what's interesting about the um, MLB's week, All Star Week. They do it in the middle of the week now. Um, I think the home run derby still matters to people. Even I think the home run derby maybe matters even a little bit more than the actual game. Similarly, I think the NBA, I think
Possible.
the 3-point contest, people tune into the 3-point
That
contest
yeah,
more than they do the
they're
actual
turning
game.
into the skills competitions more than the actual game. And actually, that'd be an interesting thing to look at. Is I want to know ratings. I didn't do this legwork ahead of time, but now you're bringing it up. Be interesting to look at. This is for Dustin Shelves. What's the ratings of the home run derby versus the actual game itself the night afterwards?
Yeah, and they've struggled a little bit with the home run derby. They're changing the rules constant, kind of like every year now,
Yeah,
where they're trying to
yeah.
tinker with it. I don't really have a good answer as to like why the game is less significant, other than I just point to like it just feels less competitive. It just feels like you reference Pete Rose, and it just feels like. Yeah, and by the way, this is not simply to MLB. This is across all four major sports. Although I'm going to bring up hockey in just a second, but like this has been a problem for All-Star games across the NFL.
Yep.
The
And
NFL does. I mean, they just threw in the towel. It kind of
yeah, we
appears
don't
like
even
they
do the
don't
Pro
even
Bowl.
care
That's
anymore about the
not
Pro
a real
Bowl.
thing. And yeah,
The NBA has, among NBA heads, the All Star game has been a pretty big problem for years now. It's interesting that this past year, um, it seemed to go a lot better. Now, the structure of the NBA All Star game, they changed to a point where it was extremely confusing and nobody really knew the rules. But you saw Victor Wembanyama go in and say, I want to win. And it takes players who want to be competitive and who want to win
yeah.
to really make the game significant. And I think that's at least what I've seen over the past 2 decades at least, of just like people just are less competitive in these games. There's not really incentive for them to play very hard. Now, interestingly enough, the NHL replaced their All-Star game with a tournament of nations. Is that the moniker, like is that the label that they put on it? Now
I
they
don't know.
they don't do it every year, I don't think, but like it was this past
Are you
year.
talking about the
The four
four
nations,
nations tournament?
whatever
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, four
Where
nations.
we're going back to FIFA and but there is a different level of competition when you are wearing your country
I would
across
agree
your
with that.
chest. And there's
And
been it's been floated that I'm going to continue to just bowl over you because you always bowl over me. I
totally
need to
fine. I'm
make
letting you. You're
I need to
cooking. Go
make all my
ahead.
points. I need to make all my
Yeah.
points before you jump
Cook,
in.
then eat. Go for it.
It has been floated that the NBA should do a just straight up world versus United States. Which again, this past year they sort of did it, but they had like three United States teams and one world team. It was very confusing format, and it's been floated like, hey, just do world versus United States, and that's going to make it more competitive. I think the problem across going back, I think the problem across all major sports when it comes to their all-star games and kind of the regular season, except for football, is competitiveness just isn't at its highest level, in my
It's not
opinion.
90s basketball. It's
Right.
not MJ out there. I'm cutthroat. I'm going to win every single game by 50 points.
Right.
No, they don't have that mentality anymore. Yeah.
Right. And so that I mean, I point to just general competitiveness, and there's a lot of factors that go into that. And we're gonna do an episode, Philip Airtime. I hope you're noting this about load management and about taking care of your bodies and stuff like that. I just think there is an element of preservation, not that necessarily, well, maybe they are, of just like it kind of seems like it's preservation of energy versus competitiveness. And those are
Yeah.
a lot of more people are choosing preservation than they
Prioritizing
are.
the late season games, and hopefully they're making it to the playoffs, and that's where it's like, okay, now I can turn it on,
Right.
max effort.
Right. What would you say is
Well, no, I mean, you brought up something interesting with like the Four Nations tournament in hockey, the NBA floating the idea of the USA versus the world. The World Baseball Classic has had a lot of success
yes.
amongst fans. Ratings are really good everywhere. I mean, this is baseball's World Cup, is what it is. Um, and so you couldn't do a mid-season tournament for the World Baseball Classic, but do you ever see MLB just going, you know what? There's no fact, there's nothing tied to the regular season. We're getting rid of the All-Star game, and we're just going to do the World Baseball Classic every single year, and that's going to replace the All-Star game. The All-Star game has outserved its purpose. It is no longer a significant thing anymore, but we realize the fans have kind of moved over to this event, this game, where there is some competitive nature to it because you're representing your country. The players love it as well. And so it's pretty much just a switch. It's just we're getting rid of the All-Star game. We're going to go to a World Baseball Classic every year or every other year. Do you ever see them making that move? And again, it's not tied to anything that happens in the regular season. They're not doing any gimmicky thing where it's like, whatever. What Venezuela won. Whoever has the most Venezuelans on their team, that's who gets home field advantage in the World Series. It's like it's two completely separate things, but we kind of celebrate the global dynamic of it, the global nature of the sports in the World Baseball Classic, and then you just have the regular season. Do you ever see them moving to that model?
I think if the MLB can figure out a way to reduce the number of regular season games, which has been brought up before, and it's probably never going to happen,
They need to do it.
to like 150 or 144,
You
something
just have
like
100,
that.
154. Yeah.
And you take 2 weeks in the middle of the season and you do a mini World Baseball Classic, I think they'd probably be interested in that, to be honest. Like that.
Yeah.
And I think fans would be interested in that.
You would have to host. I mean, right now you're hosting World Baseball Classic games around the world. There's stuff happening in Latin America. There's stuff happening over in Japan and Korea as well, I believe. You would have to host all of it in the United States, which then you wouldn't lose revenue. You wouldn't lose gate revenue, at least, because in fact, you actually would have an uptick of people through the gate. I think if you did that 2 week tournament, like you're saying, a 2 week tournament in the middle of the year, say the owners are going to get a cut of that at least, but you just host those tournament games. Reduce. I actually like everything you're saying. Reduces the number of regular season games for the MLB season, keeps interest up.
Well, and think about the jolt of energy to the
Football.
MLB season. It might give
Yeah,
a
it
jolt
does.
of it's in.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a question for you. Would you be
Yeah.
available for it? Because you're going to play for the Prague team, right? You're going out for
I
that
am
team.
hoping to. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm hoping to play. It'd be the Czech Republic, not the
Well,
Prague
yeah,
team.
Prague. Prague City. Right, right, right.
But yeah, hopefully we have our training in Prague because I can't make it really anywhere else. But yeah, hopefully I'm making it. Yeah, me and the electrician down the street who was pitching against the Japanese team. He's gonna be. I think he's what? He's 40 as well. The next time it happens, we're both gonna be about 44 years old. Yeah, it's gonna be
You'll be
great.
fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
I still got a can. What are you talking about?
I don't know if you have. I don't know
No,
if you have more
I think
thoughts.
it's a great idea.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Well,
Unless you have more on
yeah,
the World Baseball Classic idea.
I was gonna go back to kind of the beginning. It was like pull apart the MLB All-Star game and like maybe why it has decreased significance, why it has kind of waned over time. But if you
Okay.
want to go in a completely different
No,
direction,
no. I want to go in that direction, and I have a question
okay.
for you. Is it
Okay.
possible that is it possible? I know this is a little bit of a long shot. Is it possible that the rule change ending designated hitting made the leagues not have this identity or pride for their league? Like, again, and for the listenership, to give an example of or to give a little context of what I'm talking about, a few years ago they changed the rule where
2022, I believe.
Universal designated hitter, where
22 or 23.
Before the NL pitchers hit and only the AL hit. They changed that rule, and now there's a universal DH. And I just wonder if I don't not that the game really mattered before that rule changed, but I just wonder if there's a diminishment of like
league identity, pride in your league.
Players don't have pride in playing for their league, or they have pride playing for their country, but they don't necessarily associate. And
there's no league affiliation. Yeah, there's no.
I'll bring up another example of like not only does designated hitting not matter anymore, but also there's an increase in interleague play. Does the increase in interleague play like make players not necessarily think anymore about, oh, I'm a National League player?
Yeah, 100%. So that's actually my very first one, and I think it goes back way farther than the universal DH across both leagues.
Oh man, I didn't even read your notes. I was just thinking. I didn't even read your notes here. I wasn't even looking.
You nailed it. Okay, way to go. We're vibing on the same wavelength. Cool. Way to go. Here we go. So a couple of factors. I mean, this is all inside of the conversation of why has the MLB All-Star game kind of waned in significance. The very first thing you'd have to say is probably, well, you did have, and I did not know this until very recently, as in doing prep work for the show. The AL and the NL were two separate leagues legally until, do you know what year they finally came under MLB and there was a commissioner's office that had any teeth to it whatsoever? Do you know what year they legally became a union?
1983.
No.
Close?
Later.
Really?
2000.
Wow.
Blew my mind. I read that and I was like, there's no way.
Well, okay.
Up until that time, there was a major league office. There was a commissioner of baseball, Paul Tagliabue, but he's the NFL. Who am I thinking of? Bud Selig. There we go. Bud Selig being the one who kind of transitioned is like, no. Bud Selig was the first real commissioner to have any sort of power whatsoever as a commissioner. I shouldn't say that. I mean, that's not exactly true. But they were two distinct legal entities. They were two distinct leagues that had their own presidents, that had their own organizational structure, that had their own, they had their own broadcast right. They did all of their own broadcast rights negotiations, all their own marketing negotiations. They did everything independently of each other. And I guess the presidents of both of these leagues, they were in competition essentially with each other. One of the case in points was the designated hitter. When the AL adopted the designated hitter in 1973, the NL always considered a little bit more traditionalist. They were like, there's no way we're doing this. And it was really kind of to spite the AL and saying, no, that's that league. We're not affiliated with that. And we're better than that. Because there were two distinct leagues. They were in competition with each other. When you have two leagues that are independent of each other, they come together for an all-star game and they come together for a World Series, and that is it. you're gonna have more competition. It's gonna mean a lot more. I watched a real quick interview with Pete Rose, and he's saying, "Are you kidding me? Of course I'm gonna run over whoever's at the plate, blocking the plate. We're there to win the game." He referenced the NL president at the time, a guy named Warren Giles, whatever. And Pete Rose said, like, this guy, he goes, if you ever talk to this guy, he would talk about the NL winning the All-Star game, and he'd just get like veins in his neck just popping because he wanted to win it that bad. It meant something that your league was better than the other league. When MLB unites the leagues, they're all under the same legal designation now. That goes away entirely.
Oh boy.
Like, come on, it's just one. What?
I can already tell we're gonna veer back into FIFA talk and institutions being corrupt, and
No,
your
no, 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 no.
competition is good.
I'll stop right there. That was a
Competition
brief
is good.
It was a brief history. Well, it is. I mean, there is a tie-in here, right?
Right.
I think you had two people. You had two leagues. You had presidents who were very competitive, that saying our league is going to be better than the other league, and that did kind of lead to at least different leagues trying different things, like a designated hitter. There was a natural evolution that happens because of competition, and the All-Star game then meant something. You had a league identity. Guys weren't hopping over from one league to the next like they do now. Let's bring in Juan Soto. Juan Soto going from the Yankees in the AL to the Mets in the NL. That didn't happen as frequently. And so guys had a little bit more loyalty because they saw as part of their identity is I am a part of the AL. I am a part of the NL.
That might also be a function of back then AL teams or NL teams were seeing more of players on other NL teams or AL teams. They're probably not, maybe, I'm just theorizing, that they may not be sending scouts to the other leagues teams as much. Naturally, they're going to see guys from their league, and they're going to trade or sign guys from their league more.
So you would go after the guys in your own league for sure. But the point remains is you're not hopping. There weren't guys hopping leagues as frequently as they do. Now it's just you go to whatever team has the highest bid.
Right.
And so the contract negotiation stuff, the contract structure, that's a little bit different now than it was back then. The other part of this, so you have the players, it means a lot more to them because that's part of their identity is I belong to this league. The leagues were separate legal entities that operated fairly independently of each other. The other part of this is broadcasts. And we have to think, like, you and I watch on MLB TV. We buy the MLB TV package, or actually we have the T-Mobile deal that gives it to us for free every single year. I can get on MLB TV right now and watch any game I want to. That is not the case back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. You have your local broadcast. That's pretty much it. NBC was running a national game about once a week-ish. They had a Saturday broadcast. Sometimes they would do a Monday night broadcast. They had to deal with ABC. ABC would sometimes do a national broadcast on Monday nights as well. But you're only seeing your team. And if that team was in the AL, you're only seeing other AL teams because of no interleague play at that time. If you're an NL team, you're only seeing other NL teams. And you, as a fan, then develop a loyalty to the NL. I remember this being the case for our father. Dad would always say, hey, I'm rooting for the NL. You know, when the Cubs inevitably don't make it to the playoffs and make it to the World Series, he would say, I'll just root for whoever the NL team is. The older generations have a lot of that, have a lot of I am NL loyal, I am AL loyal, because that was their league. That was what they watched growing up. As a fan, you only saw those teams. You only saw those players. Because you're only watching in-league games the entire year, you only have that subset of players that you are watching. But if you're in I'm going to go back a little bit farther here. If you're in the NL and you keep hearing about this Mickey Mantle guy, you have no way to watch him. You see the box scores in the newspapers, but you are not getting to see Mickey Mantle play at all. Maybe on the off chance that NBC, there is some sort of national televised game, be a little bit late for Mickey Mantle, or Ted Williams. Ted Williams is a better example there. All right. But you have to wait for, there's only two opportunities that you have the entire year to watch another player, some superstar in the other league. And that's the All-Star game and it's the World Series if they make it there.
I'm
So
going to
the
open.
All-Star game has a massive significance for fans as well because you finally get to watch some of these superstars that you do not have the chance to otherwise.
I'm potentially opening a Pandora's box here. So I'm going to
Yeah.
apologize in advance to the listener. So does seem to be a little bit of synergy here with what we've been talking about even in the first segment with FIFA of just like the business or the institution of sports seems to be getting more savvy over time. You know, they're trying to make more money as a league, and that's probably what's driving a lot of the the merger or whatever you want to call it. We talked about this earlier
Can
with the
I can I
fans thing.
use a can I use a metaphor here real quick?
Sure.
Heard this from a guy who used to be a lawyer and he used to negotiate deals between negotiate mergers. And these littler companies getting swallowed by these bigger companies. And he would say to the people who are at the upstart company, smaller company, getting sucked in, absorbed into this bigger company, he goes, would you rather have a grape or a slice of the watermelon? Like they're able, as they kind of all centralize these industries, as they all centralize, the pie grows and grows and grows. You can eat more of it. As opposed to if the AL, let's say the AL and the NL never merge, they're not probably making as much money as they do
Right.
collectively.
Yeah, I think there's like
That's to your point. That's to your point. Is
there's an
would you rather have
element
a grape or a slice of the watermelon?
there's an element of like let's join forces so that we can maximize our profits, right?
Profit.
I
Absolutely.
just don't,
That's it succinctly.
again, it's a I think the fans think about just the competition. And you and I have spoken in the years past of just like, again, we're not going to do this podcast now, but like just particularly with the NBA of a lack of competitiveness, it seems, particularly in the regular
Like I said
season.
before, it is not the 90s NBA anymore. It's not the 80s and 90s NBA anymore.
And some of that is just maybe the players are getting more business savvy as well of just protecting their interests. Um, does it make being a fan worse in like does it make the fan experience worse in the modern day for all these businesses to act like mega corporations who are only in it for the money? Like I know this is not what we really intended for this podcast to become, but I'm turning it into like what. And obviously, I don't know if we're old enough to really speak to this. Maybe we need to get somebody older on it. Just like, was it better to be a fan
Was
back
the
in the
fan
day?
experience better 50 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we need to get older voices on and somebody who has spanned the generations, has seen both sides of the coin a little bit. But yeah, I mean, yes, you are opening Pandora's box. Yes, it is an important question. Yes, the centralization of these industries has probably depreciated the quality of the fan experience, but we would need to kind of organize that and have some
Yeah,
criteria a little bit
we're
ahead of
about to
time.
go
But before
real.
we, I mean, we're already way in over our heads. We would be,
Just
we're at the bottom of the Mariana Trench if we try to have that
just
conversation
wait
right now.
until I go geopolitical economic and say, man, globalization really hurts the individual consumer, and all the individual. You lose your sense of place in the
Yeah.
world. Same thing with sports.
Come
Same
for the
exact
witty,
theme.
come for the witty sports banter and get hard hitting geopolitical and economic analysis.
I will say this episode has been very educational, at least for me. Now, I assume that
Yeah,
the
because now that you know you can get flyovers for people buying cars at
writing
Oral
letters,
Hershiser Chevrolet, you're doing it.
writing letters all the time for flyovers.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it just this whole conversation just makes me think like, yeah, I don't just the global is again, I'm not going to use the word globalization, but obviously it's not globalization, but it's this concept of globalization in
I would say
sports,
centralization.
centralization of
Yeah.
sports. It just seems to be like diminishing the fans' experience.
Bureaucratization, maybe. Yeah.
And which
Institutionalization, any of these kind of probably work.
isn't surprising necessarily in the capitalist society that we live in. Again, going way too serious, but it's fans. It maybe that's why I'm kind of at a loss for words here of just like fandom even seems to be getting. I don't know if it's like more polarizing or more intense, but maybe that is the natural reaction to these sports leagues who care less about fans. And then the fans are just like, okay, we're going to care more about our teams
The
then or
fan
care more about our sports. I don't
intensity
know.
fills the vacuum of the
Yeah.
significance, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to really think about this.
Yeah. Those are all probably topic. Philip Airtime has a laundry list of things to us to get to things for us to get to, if I could talk, in upcoming shows for sure. I want to end it with this. Uh, Baseball's been around. Good old Abner Doubleday, I think, rolled the first ball out there in 1846 or something. So we're at like 180 years of baseball. You're at 105 years of football, somewhere around there when Papa Bear Hallis, I think, kicked the first football. Hockey, Lord Stanley's Cup's been around for 108 years, something along those lines. These are well established, sports are well established institutions. It goes back to the evolution conversation we had earlier is how do you change those things?
Well, we need
Is change in sports even possible? If so, how?
I think we need David Duchovny for this conversation.
I
But
agree. Let's get him on the show.
look, Theo Epstein and the Theo Epstein Center for Baseball Improvement has been trying to do things, and I think that the simplest answer that I can say is tinkering.
Yeah.
Something that you and I have talked about before. I think you referenced G.K. Chesterton a lot, and just saying painting the fence. In order for he uses the analogy of a picket fence. A white picket fence is going to fade over time. In order to make it look fresh, you have to constantly get out there and paint it. And I
His
think
phrase
that
is if you leave the fence alone, you leave it to a torrent of change. So yes, you have to repaint it constantly. Yeah.
I think again, my simplest answer is you just got to tinker. I think tinkering. I think people, particularly with baseball and how old it is, I think traditionalists have been anti-tinkering. But again, I think Theo Epstein has done a really good job at pushing the right buttons and pulling the right levers. I don't think every single change has been perfect. I think they're still going through it, but I think resistance to evolution is a bad thing. Resistance to change in all of life.
Agreed.
We're dropping some serious truths on this
I was going to say,
podcast.
this is the most philosophical podcast we're ever going to have.
But
So, episode 5, whatever we're in right now, we are propounding on
I think I'm about to. I think I'm about to.
like, yeah,
I think I'm about
philosophical truths, whatever. I can't even speak anymore. It's
the
how deep.
title. The title of this podcast is going to be. This podcast is going to change your
Nostradamus.
life.
Nostradamus joins the podcast. Look, I'm 100% with you. Is tinkering is the way to go. Evolution doesn't work wholesale; it tinkers. I think that maybe E.O. Wilson said this, a famous biologist. Some famous biologist did. Is it tinkers? You and I are the biggest Theo fans on the face of the planet. And that's why we're going, Theo is doing this the right way, where it's like, hey, we know things need to change. They need to evolve. And you drop a rule, like a very sensible, small rule change about every year or every 2 years that kind of gets you to where you think you need to go or how you need to adapt with the times. Theo's doing it the right way. He is not pissing anybody off when he's doing this, except the curmudgeons who are older than we are, the get off my lawn guys who are even more crotchety than we are. He might be pissing those purists off, but I think for most baseball fans, Theo's doing this in the appropriate manner where it's just like, hey, here's a little bit every year. We're going to make the bases just a little bit bigger. You know what? Let's get rid of the shift. That's not a huge change. As much as the sports pundits, the shock jocks, the talking heads on the radio would like to make it a big thing, to make it a story, it's really not that big of a deal. So
Right.
I think Theo is doing it the right way in those small incremental tinkering changes.
I think, and that goes back to something that we said a couple weeks ago of just like when these rule changes were implemented, there was a lot of people up in arms about them. But once they got implemented, you don't really even notice them.
Don't even talk about them.
Right. You
In
don't
fact,
notice them. And
some of them have been woven in so seamlessly, and it's become part of the fan experience. We see it on TV all the time. I witnessed it last night at the Twins game. The ABS challenge becomes a game inside the game.
yeah.
The fans get into it. It's, oh, ump just said catcher's challenge, and everybody's eyes are glued to the scoreboard. No matter what you're doing, you stop what you're doing, and was that a strike?
Well, they
That's a
do.
great change for baseball that gets people's attention back on what's happening on the field, adds an element of excitement to the game that wasn't there before.
Real quick on that, I think JD is the one who said that they should start doing the clap because when in tennis,
Yes,
when
tennis,
there's a review,
the tennis
when there's
clap.
a review,
Yes.
the tennis clap, they
Yes.
do the slow clap leading up to the reveal of the judgment. Baseball needs to do the exact same thing. Everybody needs to
Well,
start doing
baseball
the
does
slow.
it way too quick. Tennis at least allows a little bit of space there for the clap to kind of build.
No,
And
no, no, no.
as soon as the umpire is like catcher's challenge, and that video's up there immediately, it's like, no, you need a 3 to 5 second gap where it's just let's do this, people.
Yeah, I
Let's
think.
do this.
All right, we're gonna petition. We're gonna petition Rob Manfred
And
and
Theo, we're
Theo
writing a handwritten letter to Theo this week,
open a little bit of
which isn't
time.
different from any other week. We usually write a letter to Theo, but yeah, go
Real
ahead.
quick on Theo.
Most of those are love letters, by the way.
I'm gonna take every opportunity I can to do this, but like for as much as we love Theo, how can he have just brought in Jed Hoyer to his inner circle? It's like
That's
every good
maybe
person,
the only blemish on his professional record.
every good person has a bad person in their life, and we know who Theo Epstein's is. It's
Yes.
just like I don't get it. Yeah, I don't. Change happens incrementally. Again, in evolution, as in with sports, is like you just change a little bit here and a little
As
bit there,
evolution, the biological reality, and evolution, the movie
which
and sports. Yeah,
all
go
of
ahead.
it, all the evolution. We love evolution, and we are totally pro. Um, I don't know what can just off the top of your head. Do you have any like next changes that you want to see happen in baseball? What before we end the show? Are there anything that you want to change in baseball just as the next little tinker?
Yeah, this one has been brooded about. It has been talked about for a while, and it wouldn't be a novel change because they did this back in what was the year of Bob Gibson? Was it 68, 69? When did they
Year of the pitcher 68.
the 68? Okay. Tinkering with the either distance of the mound or the height of the mound. I think they need to open that can of worms again. Baseball would be benefited by just a little bit more offense. Not a lot more offense, but maybe a little bit more offense. Guys getting away from the 3 true outcomes of home run, walk, strikeout, and reward hitting, reward just being a good hitter, reward finding space somewhere out in the field. And I think you do that by disadvantaging the pitcher slightly because the pitchers are throwing when Mizorowski's throwing 105 up there almost every single pitch, that is a disadvantage to the hitter. That is an almost unnatural disadvantage to the hitter. And they really need to start looking at, okay, it's all about balance. The scales have been tipped to the pitcher right now, and we need to kind of level that out. And I think you do that again by manipulating the mount, whether that is moving the rubber back about 3 inches. This is not a large scale change. We're talking about inches, millimeters here. It's either moving it back, moving the rubber back a few inches, or lowering the mound an inch or two. I think that's what we need to start looking at. Do you have one off the top of your mind? Where do you want to see baseball go? How do you balance? And then what minor tinkering would you introduce to see it go in that direction?
Yeah, we're gonna talk. I think when we're both back in Michigan, we're gonna do like a extended because there's a portion of this conversation where there's like a off the field change versus on the field change. I think we're going to reserve the off the field changes to when we do our like CBA deep dive, which I have a note on that in a second. But on the field changes, and I think we've talked about this before. I think you disagree with me, is like limiting the number of roster moves in a season. And I know
I
this
don't agree with you on that.
this flies in the face of like I'm sure that the MLBPA would like hate this because it just gives opportunities to
Oh
players
yeah, they would. Oh yeah, yeah.
reserving for injury. But like there's just way too many guys going up and down between AAA and the major league club, and it just
I feel bad for those guys. Jordan Wicks is going up and down every single week. That poor guy. I hope he doesn't have a family.
wow. You hope he doesn't have a family. That's
No, no.
that came out wrong.
Jordan, you know what I'm talking about here is I feel terrible if you do have a wife and or children for what they have to go through seeing you go back and forth between Chicago and Iowa.
I just think the influx of fresh talent, particularly in the bullpen, it speaks to your point. I think in particular over the last few years, the advantage for the scale has tilted towards advantage pitcher. And I think we need to look at ways in which we can tinker to maybe make that scale a little bit more even, a little bit more balanced. One quick note before we get out of here. Have you seen there is a commercial that MLB produced out there that is stumping for all of the changes that the owners are trying to make? Have you seen this commercial?
I have
Like,
not seen it.
oh,
I will look it up as soon as we get off the show.
they're showing it again. Andy reference. We watch games on MLB TV, and I think these air on MLB TV. But there's
I don't get commercials. I don't get commercials watching internationally.
Oh, well, and if the game is too far removed, sometimes you get just that repeater screen. But if you're watching somewhat live, if you're watching somewhat live, I saw this commercial the other day.
If I am watching live ever, now that I'm in the States for the summer, there will be times that I'm watching live, but I haven't watched a live game yet. So.
There is like a 30-second spot of there's kind of dramatic voiceover. Hey, we're trying to fix the game of baseball. And this is how we're going to do it. We're going to level the playing field through a salary cap. And this is going to be great for fans with a slow-mo shot of fans like cheering and they're doing it's like an intense commercial. And I was
Love it.
Holy moly, they are really putting the pedal to the metal on this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, go check that out because it's kind of funny.
Well, I mean, we are in an election year. And so that's what this is they're just tapping all of like the political commercials that you would see before watching the Wheel of Fortune at night. Like that's what they're doing. Like they're just playing that they have that playbook. Bruno Gianelli is running the campaign for the owners right now.
Rob Manfred, I approve this message right there. At the
end. He should come on there at the end. I'm Rob Manfred, and I approve this message.
Yeah. All right. Well, you have wasted another.
This was way too serious.
Way too serious.
I'm glad we had the conversation we did.
Opens up a lot of things that we should
different avenues. We have a whole year's worth of shows after this show.
Maybe we should talk to Joey about the being.
We got to get Joey on.
Older and fandom back in the day. He's older than us. Anyway,
by a decade.
You have wasted another perfect good hour and a half listening to the show.
Yes, you have.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking with us. And yes, this has been way too serious. But hey, sometimes we just stumble into more serious topics.
Mysteries of the universe.
And we probably sound like morons doing it, but you know what? That's okay. We're used to it. This show has been produced by Eddie, or our executive producers are Eddie, the head of the Anne Hathaway and Jackson Dart Social and Pleasure Club Alizade. Our other executive producer is Christian, Two Short Shorts, and he is going to become a father this week, I think, which congratulations to Christian Alizade. Our producer is Philip Airtime. Our researchers are Anita Lotmore and Dustin Shells. Our staff therapist is Amanda Hugginkiss. Our hygiene director is Anita Bath. Our head of our romantic movie division is Hey, Would You Cuddle Me? Our male relationship consultant is Turner Luce. Our dermatologist for teenagers is Don Pickett. Our station fundraiser is Fat Chance. And our human resources manager is Pat Matukis. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back next week. Maybe have a good one.